Let's Bobby Gray, founder, fearless leader, TEXIT COIN here for part two of our networking and sales uh, um, special. I don't know what you'd call this, but that's what it is. It is special. Okay. I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to jump into the payout screen and start there. Okay. So yesterday we left off, or in our previous session, we left off with talking very quickly about the comp plan, the 1, 2 free, the 3 left, 3 right. And I told you that we'd get into the basics of tree building, pay leg, power leg setup, and also we talked a little bit about potential future comp plan adjustments and or consequences for not participating in the comp plan, actively building, helping us grow. So we're gonna start today with a basic rundown of the payout management system, and then we'll go from there. So remember, texitcoin.org is our main website that talks about the digital currency. From the main website, you can click on resources, mine TEXIT COIN to take yourself over to the website that tells you all about mining TEXIT COIN, as the name suggests. On this website, then, we've got a drop down for tools and mine management, and that's where we're going to go today. So I'm going to close out these other windows, and that way you know exactly how to get to what I'm going to show you, because it does matter. But we're going to look today at the payout dashboard. So in order to get into payout, you do have to log in. You don't have to log in if you don't want to do anything other than just browse around. But in order to do anything useful in here, you're going to need to log in. If you have not yet logged in for the first time, you'll have to reset your password. And you can do that through the forgot password function that will send you an email to your registered email address where you can establish the password. Pretty easy to do. But once you have your account set up, then you just simply sign in and you are ready now to take a look at the dashboard. The first part of the dashboard is the same stuff that you've seen plenty of times already. But this is really where things get interesting. You can see all your sales. You can see your sponsorships, your placements, commissions. You can see our back-end resources. You can see the daily rewards that are paid out. And you can also make adjustments to your profile. Now, this is where you'll go to make changes to your cold and hot wallet addresses so that when you're ready to start actively participating in trading and spending, you redirect the mine output from your cold storage wallet and instead send some of it to your hot wallet. And that'll give you the ability to then forward it on to something like DexTrade or Bitmart, or just have it on your phone. And then that way you can use it to spend and evangelize like I do. You know, go out to a dinner. Hey, everybody, download the TXC wallet, and I'll put your first 10 TEXIT COIN on your phone for you. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, and it's really not a lot today, but man, if that was 10 Bitcoin that you got back in the early days, 10 Bitcoin today is worth $1 million. Not bad, right? So let's hope that that journey finds us as well, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that it becomes a reality. Okay, to begin, we talked yesterday about our 2 reward programs. And you can learn about them on the Rapid Rewards page. The first reward isn't even explained that well. It's the easiest one to hit. It's the first one that everyone hits as they get started. I guess that's not true. It's the first one that most people hit as they get started. In addition to our simple 1-2 free referral program, refer 3 and get more mining hash power for free, we also offer a compensation plan that pays cash for referrals. There are some important basics to understand so that you can make the most of our commission program. So this talks about the binary point system, or as we call it, Rapid Rewards. But the one that you get to before that, usually for most people, is the 1-2 free, our simple 1-2 free. Refer 3 and get more mining hash power for free. So when you're logged into the back end, and welcome to the new people that have joined. Thanks so much for being here, Jonathan. When you're logged into the back end, you can see the 2 different reward programs as they are managed either in the sponsor option or the placement option. So let's start with the sponsor option and talk more about the 1-2 free. So when you pull up the sponsor page, if you get something that looks like this, then there's a bug, and you can fix the bug by clicking on the dots in the top right corner and hit the reset button. And that'll force the system to kind of re-index everything and show you what's really going on. So there you go. There's my referral organization. Okay. So the way this thing works is everyone that I have personally sponsored is going to be in one very long horizontal line. And I'm going through right now and I'm collapsing all these other things because I'm going to show you how all that works in just the next few moments, right? But this is all going to go wide. So the sponsor tree builds wide. And as things jump around, it gets a little bit difficult to see them, but it's kind of fun as your organization begins to grow. So I'm going to collapse all these things here real quick. And then that way you can see the beginning of what the sponsor tree looks like as you start to build it. And I think we're almost there. I just have to keep dragging around and find out where everything went. Where did it go? It's in here somewhere. Hold on. Let's refresh. So maybe it'll recenter it for us. And oh man, it undid all that work. Okay, let's work left to right. Oh, it didn't undo all of it. Okay, good. So there it is. So as you may have noticed, I am one of the top referrers, if not still the top referrer in our organization. There I am at 38. I'm tied for the top. And so you're going to be able to see in your payout system all the people that you've directly sponsored, all the people you've directly referred in one long horizontal line, just like this. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at this and I'm going to count down the three. 1, 2, 3. There's my first reward. 1, 2, 3. There's my second reward. 1, 2, 3. There's my third. On and on and on. So every set of 3 that I have here is going to generate a new bonus for me. Remember, we talked yesterday that if you do that inside the first 30 days, you get double the bonus. If you continue to bring on 3 every 30 days, you continue to get double the bonus. But I can see all the people that I have directly sponsored in one long, beautiful line just like this. Now, here's where it starts to get interesting. This is my first ability. This is my first clue as to whether or not anyone and who they are in my organization is also going out and sponsoring other people as well. Because not only can I see the people that I've sponsored, but I can see the people that they've sponsored. And remember, same thing for them. If I look at who somebody sponsored, they're going to have all the people that they sponsored in that long horizontal line as well. So let's take a quick look at somebody like, I don't know, let's take a look at Chris, because Chris has crushed it. In fact, I don't think Chris is on the top recruiters list yet, but as soon as I go away, you'll see him because he's number 4. So Jay, Steve, and Chris are the top 3 besides me. And so if we take a look at who Chris sponsored, boom, there's a whole bunch that pop up there. And again, I can go through and I can collapse all the ones that those people have sponsored and show you how the organization really begins to grow. And so I recruited Chris to come on and join us, and Chris has gone out then and recruited a bunch of people as well. So here are all the people that Chris has recruited. And so if I see a plus sign next to Chris's name, I know that he's actively out there helping build the mine, right? So then from that point, I just have to click on his plus and see all the people that he's got on his team that are also helping to build and recruit as well. And there they are. So the first thing that this tells me is who is actively involved in helping us grow. So if I see a name and that name doesn't have a plus sign on top of it, it means that they're not doing anything. That may mean that they are not interested in doing anything. It may mean that they just haven't done anything yet. It's not a heartbreak. It's not a disappointment if they're not. Anybody can join this thing and simply mine TEXIT coin like we talked about yesterday, either as that lottery ticket for the future or as a passive income. And so if they don't have a plus me, it just simply means that they're not actively building an organization for themselves. All good. So I want to begin to talk to and work with the people in my organization that are actively out there recruiting. So here are all the people that I've sponsored, and then I get to see all the people that they sponsored as well. And you can see just how fast this organizational structure begins to grow. And wow, look at all the different people that are coming on, sponsors and more sponsors. And it really shows you how fast the system like this begins to create growth. And that's the only thing that we need in order for TEXIT coin to be successful. We just need to grow. Growth creates our community. Growth builds our mind. A big mind creates something that's reputable for the world to build apps and dApps on top of. And as that continues to spread, the value of the coin on the open market is expected to increase. There's no guaranteed connection between those two, but there's a very high level of confidence based on historical precedent, live market data, that will in fact be the case. And that's our bet. That's our gamble. That's what we're crossing our fingers and hope to happen. We build this big mine and the price will respond accordingly. Excuse me. So, excuse me. So this is the sponsor tree. The sponsors tree shows you how your referrals are doing, which ones of them are actively engaged, and which ones of them are actively in the process of building out a little organization for themselves, whether they're doing that to get their first bonus or they're doing that to run like a business. Either way, it's all good. All that work helps us grow. You're going to see an explosion later today under the Logical Bob tree, because Logical Bob has decided that the time is now right to bring on his 16 grandchildren and get them started with mining. So Bob has built himself a little bit of an organization here, and now we're going to see grandkids pop up underneath all of these. So that's very exciting to see as well. So this is the sponsor tree. And the sponsor tree, again, is where you go to see all of your direct referrals and where you go to see if any of those direct referrals are also beginning to build their own organization as well. In traditional network marketing terms, this is what we refer to as a unilevel, where all of these people are actively out there building their own organizations, competing against each other. We don't want that kind of competition. We want team building. So in our system, in TEXIT COIN, in mining TEXIT COIN, we actually have what we call a hybrid. One part of our comp plan bonus program is unilevel. That's who you directly sponsor, and that's what goes wide, and you can see it like this. The other part of our bonus program is calculated through, excuse me, is calculated through what we call a binary, and you get to see all of that in a totally different place on the placement chart. So if you see the icon, this icon's got 3 little boxes going next to it, whereas the placement chart only has 2. And that's because they're totally different organizational structures. Because we have a hybrid, it means that we are actively using them both. So just to go back to the rapid rewards real quick, remember, in addition to our 1-2 free, we have a compensation plan that pays cash. And these are the basic rules to understand the binary compensation plan. So let's wrap up taking a quick look at how the sponsor tree works, because it's incredibly simple. It's super simple. It just goes wide. So every person that you sponsor, you're going to see in one long line. I encourage you to check this chart from time to time and make sure that everybody that you brought in is right there on that line. Now, you may see somebody on that line that shouldn't be on that line, and that's a little bit goofy because they might have been referred by somebody else, but put your name in. Hopefully, you're able to catch that before noon on Saturday, which is the deadline to make any adjustments to your organization, both in the sponsor realm and also in the realm of the binary point system. Why does that matter? Well, if we give you sponsorship credit that works towards your 1-2 free, we're taking that away from somebody else. So the same thing could be said in reverse. Suppose you sponsor someone and you log in and you don't see them there. That means that they may have been put under the wrong spot. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to start sending out a weekly email at 10 a.m. on Saturday saying, hey, we've got you listed as a sponsor for the week. We want you to log in right now and check the placement to make sure that they are in the correct spot. So that'll be a reminder before the deadline every week to go in there and make any last minute changes. If you see something that's either incorrect or you see a better way to organize something either for your benefit or for your team's benefit. Okay, so that's sponsor. Sponsor tree goes wide. Everyone that you directly sponsor will be on one line, and then everyone that they sponsor is going to be on a line below them. This is how the organization really starts to take off. Let's take a quick look at our top 3 sponsors. We've got our friend Jay, who is somewhere over here. I think these are in, I don't know, some sort of order. No, maybe not. So top sponsors are Jay. Where's Jay? Jay, where are you? Looking. looking. Oh, Jay's. I didn't even refer Jay. That's why Jay's not there. Sorry, Eddie referred Jay. So there's Eddie. And if we collapse some of Eddie's circles here, squares, boxes, you get to see the amazing organization that Eddie has built. And there's Jay. There's our tied for the lead refer sponsor, builder. I don't know what you want to call it, but there's Jay. And then so there's Jay. And the other top sponsor is our friend Steve. And Steve was brought on kind of a bunch of levels down. That's another important thing here, guys. You got to remember that in a good organization, the top guys, the top earners, the top builders aren't the guys at the top of the tree. In a good organization like this, the top guys can pop up anywhere. And so Davey and I had an event a couple months ago. Davey introduced me to my friend Steve, and voila, there's Steve's organization. And Steve's done an incredible job so far, and we're expecting that to continue to grow. So that's how this thing really begins to take off. You never know where it's going to happen next. A hot spot could pop up anywhere at any time. Okay. So let's wrap that up. That's the sponsor 1-2 free program. That's the chart that'll show you how that's going. And again, what you're looking for here is who's got a plus sign. That tells you who is actively involved with helping us grow. Now, maybe they're bringing on their kids or grandkids. Maybe they're bringing on friends, colleagues, coworkers. So reach out to that person and say, "Hey, I see that you're beginning to grow. What can I do to help?" Okay, so that's sponsor. Now, the next one is called placement. And this is, again, we got a bunch of names for it. We got rapid rewards, the point system, the binary, whatever you want to call it. It's all good. But this is where you have a left leg and a right leg. And so what we're looking at right now is not just my organization. We're logged in right now looking at my personal mining account. We're not looking at the company management. We're looking at my personal organization. Incidentally, I am the top of the organization, so we get to see everybody that's in the organization. And so now what we're going to talk about is the 3 left, 3 right, as well as how to set up your tree for maximum benefit. And this is really incredible. I love looking at this thing. I've got a button administratively that you don't have, but it gives me the ability to expand the whole entire thing at one time. And that's when the browser is like starting to lose its breath from trying to keep up, because there's a lot in the organization now. We just broke past 700. So imagine what it's going to be like as we break past 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000. It's going to get weird. But this is what gives us the ability to see how your team is developing. Okay. So your team is made up of everybody that's on your left and everyone that's on your right. Okay. And your team is going to look different than my team, but this is my team. And here's what we got. Right. So your job is to build an organization. Your goal is to build an organization that is going to continue to build, help us grow, and bring new points to the table. When you log in first, you'll see your points. This is the number of points that you are specifically worth. If you buy mining shares, that's worth a point. If you buy 3 packets, worth 3 points. If you do a BOGO, buy one, get one, that's worth 1 point. And so the point value that you see here is not going to be related to your rewards, but it's what your point value has to the people that are above you in the organization as well. So I'm only worth 1 point. That's because I only bought in 1 share. Okay. If you're thinking about the other points, you can see them a little bit further down in your profile. Down in your profile, you will see your starting points for the week. So this is where you closed out the end of last week. Now the system closes out every Saturday at 6 o'clock Texas time. It used to be 5 or 7. I don't remember, but it's midnight UTC. So at the international dateline, when that strikes midnight, that's when our system closes out. Where you are at the end of that period is where you begin for the following week. So these are my starting points. So I started this week with 9 points on my left and 0 points on my right. So far this week, I've accumulated 69 new points on my left and 0 new points on my right. The first thing that tells me as I go and I look at my placement tree is that I've got no activity whatsoever on the entire right side of my organization. which is really frustrating because if I don't have any activity on this side, I'm not going to get paid. So I can look at who's going on, who's down here on this right side of my organization. And I can say, man, I'm really surprised. I got so many people here, and yet no one is putting points on the board for me. That's really frustrating. And so, and there's some real leaders and some real builders on this side of the organization, and yet still, I'm not getting any new points this week from my right side. Okay, let's take a look at the basics of the comp plan and understand why that's so frustrating. Okay, join today and get started. Blah, 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 blah. We'll track both your direct referrals and the referrals anywhere on your team. So I get to count up points that are accumulated from anywhere in my organization, whether they're from me directly or they're from people that are on my team. Remember, my team is made up of everybody that's on my left and everyone that's on my right. Okay, that's good news. Each affiliate tracking center has two legs, a left and a right. Immediately once you have a referral, let us know where you'd like the new member to be placed. Now, there is a default. There's a default placement strategy that we're going to use if we really feel like we have a good, solid understanding of your organization. Your default might be left, it might be right. We have the ability to specify that, and you might see that set up in your profile on team strategy. Now, mine's manual because I've got both a left and a right. I'm the only person in the organization that's absolutely incredibly responsible for both my left and my right. And that's because there's nobody above me that's helping me build. Bad luck for me, I guess. But the point is that if you log into your profile, you'll see if you have got a team strategy, and you're also able to go in and edit your team strategy to specify whether you'd like to split your points between the left and the right, if you'd like to have them on the left, on the right, or if you'd like to manually adjust them every week. So you can go in there and you can make that change. I don't suggest you making that change unless you know what you're doing. And we'll talk more about that in a few moments. But so you're responsible for building your left leg and your right leg. Okay. Your goal is to build both legs of your team. For every 3 points on the left and 3 points on the right, you'll earn $1,000 commission check. Unmatched points will roll over until paid. So the goal of the organization is to get points over here and points over there. If you get 3 points on your left and 3 points on your right inside of the same commission period, that'll generate the commission check. Okay. So if we look at my points right now, you can see that I've got 9 points on my left. I've got 69 new points on my left and 0 new points on the right, which means although there's an incredible amount of activity on my left side this week, I'm not going to get a dime because I didn't match those points on my right side. Now, that's not just bad news, but it's really bad news because all of these points are gone forever. I will never get credit for these points. Why? Let's jump ahead down here until we get to point number 8. Any points unpaid and below the weekly max roll over to the next period. Points above the max do not roll over to future periods. So if you have 2 points on your right and 700 on your left, 2 will carry over on the right and 9 on the left. Right? Left. What that means is that we stop counting at 9. 9 points on your left and 9 points on your right, receive 3,000 commission. And that's the limit. Even if you have 934 points on the left and 650 on the right, you'll receive the maximum of $3,000 per commission period. So that's what I'm up against here. I've got 9 points stuck on my left side. And because I don't have any points on the right side, those points are going to be gone. How many points will I have at the end of this week? 9. Even though I had 9 and I brought on 69 new points, I'm still going to end this week with 9 points. So if something happens on my right leg next week, or let's say it still happens this week, I'll have those points show up. I'll get paid maybe if I reach at least 3 points, but everything in excess of those 9 points is just going to disappear. That's how the organization doesn't die. That's how the comp plan doesn't fall apart. If you got paid forever on everything that happened, all of the points that they didn't expire, we'd go out of business. It just doesn't work, right? And so that's why we cap it. We say, okay, we'll stop counting at 9. And that way, if some of these people up here are having large numbers of points accumulate, and we'll take a look at some of that. I can't show you, but we'll talk about that in a moment. If those points accumulate and your team's crushing it, you'll get that big $3,000 check. But that's it, right? It's not like you're going to get $48,000 because your team did so well. It's capped at 3,000, and there's a reason for that. The reason is so that we don't go out of business. So anyway, so I've got 9 points on my left. I got 0 points on my right. I've got 69 new points on my left, 0 on my right. My commission check for this week is going to be $0. And that's because I have an unbalanced leg. I've got to do more work building out my right leg so that it's beginning to match the points. Now, suppose I had 68 points show up this week on my right and the points were balanced. Would I get 68? No, no, no. We stop counting at 9. So the system looks at that and it says, okay, you got 69 new points on your left, 0, or let's say 68 on the right. The maximum that you can receive is 9 and 9 as per this point number 7 here. And it'll generate that $3,000 commission. Okay. Then the points reset. So we count. We stop counting at 9. If you have 9 and 9, it's a $3,000 commission check. We deduct 9 points from each side, and your point total resets at 0. Let me show you what that looks like over here in the commission tab. So if you've earned commission, you'll see this section start to line up. So don't worry about me. I've made some money on this thing and through commissions. So let's take a look at my first commission. My first commission was July 29th. I started the week with 9 on my left and 2 on my right. But then it was a good week for me. I had 13 new ones show up on my left and 23 new show up on the right. So you'd say, okay, well, 9 plus 13 is 22 and 2 plus 23 is 25. So I ended the week with 22 and 25. No, 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 no. I ended the week with 9 and 9 because remember, we stopped counting at 9. It's an extremely frustrating rule when you start to get up to that point. Suppose you got 8 points and you're going into Saturday, and then somebody wants to sign up for 3 more points. You go, well, 8 plus 3 is 11. I'm going to have 11 points this week. No, you'll have 9 points this week. What happened to those other 3 points? They're gone. You don't get any credit for them. Sorry. That's how the system works, right? And the reason for that, again, is so that we don't go out of business. If we counted everybody's points and we went all the way to infinity all the time, the comp plan would break and we'd be out of business. So there's a bit of a gamification to it. You look at it and you say, okay, I got 8 points. I'm going to hold these 3 points until next week so that way I don't lose those extra points. And that's fine. We encourage you to do that and be smart about how and when you're bringing points in so that you don't lose too many of them. But then you cross over into the next level. And that next level is, my team's doing it now. I built this organization and now I don't have to go out there sweating it all week long trying to find those points. Now Sarah brought on some points for me, and Chris and Justin on this side, and Brad, and all these guys were all bringing on points. And now at the end of the week, I look at my totals and I've got 13 and 23. So should I bring on that new person that wants to buy 3? Of course, because it doesn't matter. They're not going to get counted now. They're not going to get counted later. Bring them on. And then that way they get to start earning mining outputs and they get to start building in their organization as well to make money. So that's where a little bit of a team mentality starts to kick in. It's like, oh man, I'm coming up on that limit and I don't want to lose points. Yes, be cautious about it in the beginning. And then once it flips over, and this is what Jay's been going through just in the last couple of weeks, where he's maxing out every week now, you'll go through and say, doesn't matter. My team's doing a great job now. I'll keep recruiting. I'll keep building because I'm going to max out at $3,000, whether I bring this person in or not, whether I bring him in this week or next week, it does not matter. I'm going to max out at 3,000. Okay. So as I look at my first commission here, 9 plus 13 equals 9 and 2 plus 23 equals 9. And therefore my max is 9 and 9. I qualify for the 9-9 package that generates the $3,000 commission. When we subtract the 9 and 9 from there, we go down to 0, 0. And that's where I begin the next week. Now, look, nothing happened for me for a very long time. All of August, all of September, I didn't get anything. And so it was all the way into October when I started the week with 9 and 2. I added 39 on my left and I added 40 on my right. That was a great week for me. My right side finally woke up. And so I add 9 plus 39 equals 9 and 2 plus 40 equals 9. I qualify for the 9-9 package. I get the $3,000 commission. And again, my points go down to 0 and 0. Now, this is an important place to stop and say, look, if you're already at the maximum on one of your legs, it doesn't matter if you get anything new on that side. And that's why it's so important to work week in and week out, because if your one side is already maxed out with 9, you're not going to get any more points for whatever happens on that side of the organization. So your guys can be building and building and building. And that's what you'll notice with a lot of people that are in the organization. They've got points stuck on one side. I'll show you some examples, right? Let's take a look at Chris. Chris has got Andrea. Andrea's building her organization, but he's also got Tom. And Chris is building out his pay leg is Chris's right leg. Okay. And as we go down Chris's organization, you can see just what an incredible job this team has done to build a point system that's bringing on people, referring people. Now, remember, Chris is building out this right leg. But as we keep going down the organization, we start seeing other people building out their left legs. Okay. And we're going to pause here actually for a while and talk quite a bit about this. But you can see how this organization grows. Now, Chris has got all of these points, a lot of points. I can't tell you exactly how many points Chris has this week because I don't know from looking at it from my perspective. That's going to change in the future. But what I want to point out is Tom. Sorry, this Tom up here. Tom. Tom's got all of these points down his right side. All of this, even this guy on this guy's left, that counts on Tom's right. So Tom has got basically, you would think like an unlimited number of points on his right side, but it's really only 9. Why? Because we stopped counting at 9. So this week he's got 9. Last week he's got 9. The week before that he's got 9. He's had 9 here for probably 6 months. But because he's never matched that with points on the other side, he's never gotten paid. So even if he brings some points on this week, he's not going to get credit for whatever happens this week because he's already at 9 on his right. So if he brings out 3 on his left, he'll get a check for $1,000. We subtract 3 from the left and 3 from the right. He'll start next week with 0 on his left and 6 on his right. And then he'll max out his right all over again. And so what happens is if you don't do any building, if you don't do any referring, or if people in your organization don't do any referring, and you can see who they are, Michael has got plenty of points down his right side. All he has to do is match those points on his left, and boom, $1,000, 3 points on the left. Same thing for Scott. Same thing for Tom. Same thing for anyone that doesn't have anything coming off their left side. They've already got, I know without even looking, that every single one of these people has 9 points already on the right side because there's a whole organization that has grown out underneath all these other people that have created points in all these other spots. And yet, because they did not match those points on the left, they got $0 paid in commission, and they won't get anything paid in commission until they match them. But that's fine. Remember, these could be people that are not interested in any way building an organization, referring, getting commissions. They don't like it. They don't want it. I don't know what the story is, but they're not doing it. It's fine. But the moment they start doing it and they go, wait a minute, I thought if I did my 1, 2, 3, I got free share. You're telling me I also get $1,000? Why? Well, because somebody has built out your power leg. Okay. So this is what we call a power leg. Now, a power leg could be referred to as a pay leg or a power leg. It's the same thing, but we talk about it from 2 different perspectives. Why? Because if we go all the way up to the top of this leg, we see Chris. Now, Chris is in my power leg, which means Chris is counting on me to build out his left leg. So Chris is in my leg. So Chris is building his right leg. That's Chris's team preference. And so his team preference is building his right. So I encourage Chris to build on an unbroken line going down his right side. That means that every new person he brings in creates a point, an additional point for all the people that are above him. It helps every single one of these people. The only person that's kind of stuck right now is Cameron. Cameron's brand new, just came on board. Chris hasn't done anything since the 27th of December. Let's get to work, Chris. But the next person that Chris brings on with is probably going to go right here. And that's going to create another point for Cameron, and another point for Artie, another point for Charles, another point for James, another point for Robert, another point all the way up this leg. And so that helps every single person on this team reach their next bonus, reach their next goal, reach their next commission. Now, for Chris, Chris is going to call this his pay leg. This is Chris's pay leg. He's going to work on building his pay leg because if he has success in his pay leg, he gets paid. I am working on building Chris's left leg. So that's Chris's power leg. The power leg is the leg that somebody else on your team is hopefully building for you. So if you got onto a good team, your team leader is going to work on building one side. You're going to work on building the other side, which again, we refer to as your pay leg. So the pay leg is the leg that you're building, or you could call it your team strategy leg. My team strategy is manual, but for the most part, I'm building out my left leg. Okay. So if you're building out your right leg like Chris, your right leg is what you would call and refer to as your pay leg. So Chris's pay leg is his right side. Chris's power leg is his left side. That's because I'm building the leg for Chris. So the power leg is Chris's left. Chris's power leg is his left. Chris's pay leg is his right. Now it swaps the first spot down. Andrea's power leg is her right because Chris is building that for her with his team. And Andrea then gets to focus exclusively on building her left leg. Andrea's left leg in this example is her power leg. Andrea is going to want to go on and build out an unbroken line of people down her left side. And what that does is it helps all the people on Andrea's left side get a point for everything that she does. And then that would be then referred to as their power leg. So Paul's power leg is his left. That's because Andrea is helping him to build that. Now, it doesn't go down quite as far as Chris's does, but that's okay. We've got Paul then who's going to build out his right leg. So this alternates depending on who the sponsor is and what leg they're building. So if Chris is building out his right leg, then anyone that Chris sponsors wants to build out their left leg. So it alternates as you work your way through the organizational structure. So if Chris is building his right, Andrea is building her left, Tom's building left, Chad's building left. Anyone that Chris puts on his right is going to want to focus on building their left. Now, keep in mind, this is an important thing. Your goal is to build both legs of your team. Well, wait a minute. You said that one's a pay leg and one's a power leg. You are responsible for building both legs of your team. So for some reason, you show up in an organization and the person that brought you in isn't crushing it. You know, they're not a Chris and they're not bringing on 2, 3, 4 new people and lots of points every week. That's tough. That stinks. It makes your job twice as difficult because now you have to build both legs. You have to build your left leg and your right leg. You don't have a power leg. You're not in a power leg. And unfortunately, the restrictions are that whoever brings you on gets to choose where you get to go, right? Now you can ask the person, hey, where am I going? Am I going in a power leg? Or the person can tell you, hey, look, come on with me. I'll do half the work for you down this side and you build that side. We work together as a team. If for some reason you get into a leg that doesn't have somebody that's building the other side for you, it's not the end of the world. It just means you have to work a little harder. It means you have to focus on both your left leg and your right leg, such as myself. I don't have anyone doing any building for me. I've got to build my right leg and I've got to build my left leg. So I've got my daughter over here, Samantha. She was first money in. And so she's responsible for building out that right leg. Hasn't done much yet, hence the reason I haven't gotten paid. But I still love her. But the point is that we work together as a team to build these organizations. Okay. If you're lucky and you get on some power leg that's going to do half the work for you, it just helps you get to your goal much more quickly. The worst case scenario is that you are responsible for building both legs of your team. That's really important because I've heard lots of time people say, yeah, you get your 3 referrals and a check for $1,000 and the bonus shot. No, 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 no. That only happens if you're on a power leg and you've already got points down one side. For example, Chris has got Tom. If Tom brings on his 3 referrals, yeah, Tom's going to get paid. If Tom brings on 3 referrals, he'll get bonus hash power and he will get a check for $1,000. Why? Because Tom already has 9 points going down his right side. Probably every time Tom brings on 3 people, he'll get another check for $1,000 up to the maximum per week. Why? Because he's got an organization that's putting a ton of points on the books every single week. Let's take a quick look on our other phone. What's happening with that leg? Because it's impressive. If you take a look at that leg, I can tell you right now that Chris is going to max out this week. And guess what? he's got 19 new points on his right side already. So Chris's organization this week, even though we know that Chris didn't bring in those points directly himself, I don't remember what that date is. What was the 27th? 27th. Yeah, 27th was last week. So Chris doesn't have any direct recruits this week, but his organization, all of these people have put points on the board. And again, like I said, Chris has got 19 new points on his right side from this week. Chris has maxed out his right, and he has also already maxed out his left. And so, bye, baby. And so therefore, Chris is going to get a check for $3,000 this week, and the game goes on. That's it. But what about Cameron? Cameron is Chris's latest recruit. Let's say Cameron goes out, brings on his 1, 2, 3. He gets his bonus hash power, and he is looking for his check for $1,000. Well, that's great. You've got 3 points now on your left. On the left side, you've got the points that you need to get paid. But now we need your team leader to build out your right side. And that's when those teams work together. Cameron says, Chris, what are you doing for me, man? I need points on my right. Okay, I'll get to work. That's when the teams work together both up and down. You know, Cameron's working on building his left, but he's also looking at team leadership and saying, who's got some points for me for my right? Worst case scenario is Chris says, that's it, I'm done, I quit. And Cameron is then responsible for building out his right as well. But Chris is a great team leader. He's doing a great job building his team and helping his team succeed. It's unlikely that Chris would do that. And therefore, all Cameron has to do is just be patient. Okay, maybe Cameron brings on his 3 this week. He gets his bonus hash power. And then he's just got to wait a couple days for Chris to build out the right side. And then he'll qualify for his first commission check. That's it. That's how it works. That's the suggested orientation for team building. When you join, if your sponsor is working on building out your one side, then your goal is to build out the other side. What do we call that? The side that you're building is called your pay leg. The side that somebody else is building for you is called your power leg. So the hope is that some team leader is doing a great job building out your power leg, and then you focus on building your pay leg. In that regard, you only have to do half the work to get the same commission qualification. We stop counting at 9 points. Why? So that we don't go out of business. It's very simple. You can see your commissions and calculations. You know, on my last commission check at the end of November, I started the week at 6 and 1. I had 115 new on my left and 5 new on my right. I qualified for the 9 and 6. So this is interesting. So because I qualified for the 9 and 6 and the package, or because I got 9 and 6, the package I qualified for was 6 and 6. We deduct 6 from the left, 6 from the right, and I start the next week then with 3 existing on my left because we didn't get paid for those already, and it was below the maximum. So keep an eye on your commissions, keep an eye on your points. You can see the points as they add up over here in your starting points and new points. We also have a new notification system. And that new notification system will give you the ability to see what's happening from the people that you've sponsored in your organization. It's got some last names on there for you. I'm not going to put mine up here, but you can go back through and you can take a look at what's happening in your organization through the notifications. We're working on better reports. I know that you're going to need better quality information to know where to start to help your team. You know, the easiest thing to do is to take a look at the sponsor tree and say, okay, who in my sponsor tree is starting to do something? Those are the guys I'm going to work with. I'm going to work with Nat. I'm going to work with Steve. I'm going to work with Kira. I'm going to work with Abe. I'm going to work with these guys and figure out what I can do to help them build out their organization. I'm going to build one side for them. They're going to build the other. So I want to talk to these people and figure out what I can do to help them succeed. Okay. But we'll have better reports coming soon on the left side here so that you'll have direct information that'll tell you, hey, show me a list of all the people that have gotten their first referral. That's great. I want to call those people, congratulate them, thank them, and see when they can get the next 2 or 3. Show me a list of all the people that are one referral away from getting their first bonus. Show me a list of all the people that are coming up on the expiration of their first 30 days that are maybe thinking about or maybe have started to build an organization. And I'm going to encourage those people to hit that goal before those 30 days are up so they get that double bonus. Show me a list of all the people that are 1 or 2 points away from getting a cash commission. Show me a list of all the people that just got their first cash commission. I'm going to call them and congratulate them. So better reporting is going to give us the ability to know where you want to focus your effort as you're working with your team to get even better results from what they're doing. And so that's the whole thing about our system. It's set up so that we can help each other through this binary compensation plan. Again, we're not an MLM, but this is an ingenious thing. Instead of setting everybody up competing against each other, we can go out now to an event and we can work together as a team. Okay, everybody that we bring on at the event, we're going to put down here. Why? That way, everyone is going to get points for that the whole way up the organization. And anything that they do is going to continue to help the organization, this team, build and grow. So when we put these people in this long, unbroken line, it gives all the people the greatest ability to go out and get paid. Now, you could look at it and you can say, no, 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 no. If I come on board, I'm going to build my three sons on the left side, my three daughters on the right side, and I'm going to get paid. Well, that's true. That's the easiest and most expeditious way to get to the goal, the paycheck goal. The problem is in that format, now you've set up the boys and the girls to be directly competing against each other. If you've got your boys on one side and the girls on the other, then whatever the boys do has no positive impact whatsoever on the girls and vice versa. Now, okay, maybe they're 3, 5, and 7 years old and they're not going to go out and do a whole bunch anyway. If that's the case, no big deal. But maybe they're thinking about it. Maybe they're able to talk about TEXIT COIN with friends, relatives, coworkers, whatever it is. If you have the ability to put them in one long line, then everything that they do is going to help all the other people on that team, starting from the bottom up. So if you take a look at my dad's organization, for example, my dad's got a bunch of kids, and you can see those kids as they get placed in the organization in um, birth order. Birth order they got placed in here. And so, like my idea would be to put the person that's most likely to go out there and build an organization at the bottom. And that way everyone above them would get points for what the real champion is going to do. You never really know who's going to pop up and create results. Everyone's going to start getting some grandkid points here, some kid points here in a couple days. But the point is that it's my job to encourage you to build your team in a specific way to make it most likely for the team to be successful. If you follow the suggestions that I give you, you'll end up creating an organization like what Chris has here. And that has done extremely well for Chris. How well? Well, Chris is the top earner in our organization. So it's done very well. You can do it any way you like. You can't really do it wrong. If you make a mistake and you kind of regret it later, it's okay. Just keep building. You can always have another chance to start over, to continue building the right way. Some people might get a little bit orphaned out there, and that's frustrating, but you can always bring the next person in, put them in the right spot. So this is what I'm going to encourage you to do. I'm going to encourage you to think about your pay leg, which is the opposite of your power leg. So the power leg is being built by your team leader, and your pay leg is the leg that you're building out that matches the team leader points so that you end up getting paid consistently. Week in, week out, Chris gets a check. That's why he is at the top of the leaderboard, because he's done a great job. He continues to do a great job. Chris could sit back and say, doesn't matter. My team's built. I don't have to do anything else. But he is still going out there and he's still building his team because his work now helps everyone else on his team to be successful because they only have to do half the work. That's what binary is all about. That's why it's so powerful. Excuse me. So with that, I'm going to wrap up part 2. I don't know yet if there's a part 3, but I think there will be. I got a lot further today than I thought I was going to get. And I'm happy with what we were able to cover today, talking about how the points add up, pay legs and power legs. Just remember a couple different things. If somebody comes on board and buys a 9-pack, that 9-pack is going to give them 3 spots. And those 3 spots can be arranged in lots of different ways, but they do get 3 spots, which means you do get an instantaneous 1-2 free bonus for that, in addition to the 9 points. Well, you might say, well, what if I bring on 2 people that both want the 9-pack? I mean, I'm not really going to get credit for those points. Well, that's true. If you're struggling to get points, you might want to put somebody in this week and then hold the next person until next week. That way you're maxing out 2 weeks in a row. and not losing those points. If you've already got a ton of points and your organization's building and growing and flourishing, bring them on. It does not matter, because you're going to max out anyway, whether you bring them on this week or next week. That's what Chris is up against. He's maxing out week in, week out. So he just says, okay, I don't care. I'm bringing them in. What I do is going to help everyone else on my team. I don't want to be withholding and make it any more difficult for these guys to be successful. I'll do it early. I'll do it often, and that'll give my teammates the best ability to get paid as well. And that's when things really start to get exciting, because it grows quickly. The numbers add up very, very quickly, and that's really spectacular. So again, I think we're done. I don't know. I'll go back through my notes and see if there's anything else that I would like to cover in addition to these things. But that's what a binary compensation plan is. Now, the difference between us and other network marketing companies is they'll cap you. They'll say, look, we're only going to pay you on your first three levels. We're only going to pay you to here, right? Unless you do A, B, and C, you're only going to get paid to here. And so we're wide open. We're wide open. We pay you all the way down to infinity. And people go, well, man, isn't that thing going to collapse at some point? Yeah, we'll have to make adjustments when the organization gets to the point where it calls for that adjustment. And, we've already made an adjustment. We made an adjustment on June 9th. We'll make an adjustment probably on March 2nd, or maybe at 1,000 people or 10,000 people or 100,000 people. We'll make adjustments to the comp plan so that our comp plan continues to survive as we grow and as our organization evolves. But what we're really looking for is leadership. What we're looking for out of these people that are in these great spots to step up and be good leaders, educators, trainers, ambassadors for not just their team, but also for TEXIT COIN. And that's why Chris is going to get on a plane and take a terrible flight from LA all the way out to Orlando this coming week to represent for our brand at the Orlando Fun Coin Show. And that's really great. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Chris. But that's how we're going to continue to grow. So even if you've done all the work that you need to do to get paid $3,000 a week, don't sit back, don't rest, don't get lazy, don't get complacent, because things that can't go on forever won't, right? So if you're helping to continue to build the organization, we don't have to make a change to the comp plan. I don't look at somebody like Chris on that list and say, man, that's really dead weight that's dragging down the organization. I look at Chris and I say, that's a guy that's taking us exactly where we want to go. And so again, we talked in part one about some of the consequences that we want to explore before we get to changing the comp plan, giving somebody a heads up. Hey, we need more out of you. Asking them to not take cash commission and just taking BOGO until they're ready to start playing a more active role in our development and growth. So there are a number of things that we can do to keep everybody happy and not change the comp plan. But rest assured that we do need to continue to put forth good effort in order for our organization to continue to grow, to flourish, to succeed. With that, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining for part two. Maybe there'll be a part three. I'm Bobby Gray. I'm the founder, fearless leader of TEXIT COIN. It's time for me to go to get a haircut because I've got a big event next week. Questions? Go ahead. Let me know if you guys have anything. Is there anybody that wants to talk? Comments? Suggestions?